Hi everyone, my name is Jacob Fortung. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I actually have a video about my pre-entrepreneurship handbook that I made, and it's based on my experience starting companies, many failed, my experience consulting several startups across the world. I've traveled across. Um, I've been to several continents, Asia, Africa, Latin America, and I'm based here in the United States. And I've been fortunate and humbled to be uh, provided with very incredible opportunities to meet entrepreneurs, but also work with them, right? So the pre-entrepreneurship handbook came as a result of my experiences traveling around the world, but also, with the intention to help entrepreneurs do well and do good. And the pre-entrepreneurship handbook um, was built around the idea of how do you think of yourself, but also of your idea before you even start the journey of being a successful entrepreneur. So I hope you can check that out. It's in one of the videos in my YouTube channel. I also have the link of the pre-handbook. It's free on my website. It's jacobfortune.net. And one of the theories that really helped me to come up with this pre-entrepreneurship handbook is the Babson Entrepreneurial Thought and Action. The Babson Entrepreneurial Thought and Action is very simple. I learned it at Babson, so I went there for my MBA as well as my Master of Science in Finance from 2017 to 2020. And it was just a very interesting concept, and that pretty much helped me a lot to come up with the pre-entrepreneurship handbook. So it's very simple, and if you can see on the screen, it's basically gives you the context of you always have to just start with what you have at hand. And for most, aspiring entrepreneurs, they always want to find something. They always want to find funding. They always want to find, the right co-founder. But at a very basic level, you always have to start with what you have at hand. You see, like right now, I now have an internet. I know I have what I learned from school, so my knowledge in my head, and pretty much what I'm doing here. I think what cost, you know, some money is probably the light. I have to pay the light bill. I have to buy this computer. I need to pay for the internet, but I'm able to do something like this. I mean, my goal is to help, inspire people and to support young entrepreneurs and people that want to build successful businesses. But hopefully the byproduct of that is, I can hopefully make some economic profit. But I just use what I have at hand. And I think that's what I'm trying to communicate with the pre-entrepreneurship handbook is having an understanding of where you are, but also whether you have some of the skills that are necessary to build a successful business, right? Before you even jump into that process. So it's like a cautionary tale of figure out what you're good at, how your feasible idea is, and whether you think you are ready to get into this crazy journey of entrepreneurship. But going back now to this Babson Entrepreneurial Action, so we talked about just start what you have at hand. And the second phase is you have to use this concept of what is the loss, what's the opportunity cost once you take this next step. And in some way, in the 10 principles of the pre-entrepreneurship handbook, I try to give some context to that because you always have to think about what are you losing to spend time on this, spend money on whatever you're doing, right? So that is something that there has to be some sense, some keen understanding of what is the thing I'm giving for uh, uh, versus investing time in what I'm trying to do, right? And I try to communicate that I try my best to communicate that in my pre-entrepreneurship handbook. But it's just very critical. It's a very simple process. You can just use paper and the pros and cons, and you're able to just gauge, is this something I'm willing to take? Is this something I'm willing to do for a very long time? Is this something I'm willing to spend a lot of time to build? Because for the most part, startups take a year, 2, 3 years for you to actually get that economic profit, right? To break even and going beyond that. So there's that phase that you need to really understand that what am I willing to give out to achieve that long-term, it can be short-term, 3 years, short-term gain. So, in my handbook, I mentioned you have to be, the last rule is that you have to be tenacious, you have to be flexible. So you have to be very resilient, right? Those are skills that is somewhat ingrained here. It's not explicitly said here, but it's implicitly said. Like, you have to be willing to give out losses. You have to be very resilient. So that means you have to give out a lot of other things, resilient on the idea and focus on that. And the last thing is, in one of the principles I mentioned, it's like, how do you figure, I think it's principle 3, like, how do you understand the resources that is around you? And I think that's very important, because if you don't really understand the resources that you have around you, it would be hard to know, and this resource includes people, right? People around you that, you have to think about who are the people around me that can help me build this idea. And that is something you have to actively and consciously think about, but also kind of actively reach out to them and say, hey, this is something that I'm trying to do. Is this something you're willing to support? And sometimes it doesn't have to be financial. It doesn't have to be having them join your team, but sometimes they can provide referrals, right? So don't think of your network as just within your friends circle. You can think of acquaintances, your professors, and all that, but you have to really clearly understand your network. And that was something that I really mentioned in the handbook. How do you understand the resources you have, or the resources you have access to, right? So, but the most important thing about entrepreneurial thought and action is that you actually learn about it, you act on it, then you build on it, right? So that's why you see the act and build. It's not just a stage, like step 1, step 2, step 3. Is that there is this idea today, you take action, then you expand. Once you take action, is in the process of figuring out the resources you need, what you have to give out, and also the people that can help you along the way as you're thinking about it, as you're taking action, and as you're expanding your network, right? And subsequently, that will give you the impact you need. So at the very fundamental level, it is a very affordable way to start your business, right? Don't think out of the box like, oh, I need to find this investor, I need to find things that are not within reach. You have to just start with, what do I have at hand that can help me start that business, and or the startup idea that you have in mind. And from there, you can build platforms. These platforms of, what I mean platforms is, what are the tools and resources, in quote unquote platforms, people or resources that I have that will help me take this ideation into action, right? So platforms as tools, tools as platforms, or people that have platforms that can help you understand more about what you're trying to do, but also provide you the necessary resources you need to act, learn, and build. So I hope that explains one of the theories that helped me to build a pre-entrepreneurship handbook. And this is a very interesting concept, and I hope that it helps you on the journey, on your entrepreneurial journey. And I hope you check out the pre-entrepreneurship handbook as well. So thank you for your time, and thanks for listening to me talk about the ET and A. It's called, in Babson, called the ET and A, which stands for Entrepreneurial Thought and Action. So make sure you check it out. Make sure you check out the Pre-Entrepreneurship Handbook. Again, you can go to my website, jacobfortune.net, to get to the link, and you can check it out there. You can also check out a video I made on the Pre-Entrepreneurship Handbook, just to explain the 10 principles, so that it gives some context to it. So thank you guys, and see you guys in the next video.